Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Insect nest headquarters, within the massive spherical creature. The beautiful woman lay there as if deep in slumber, a transmitted message contacting her. The beautiful woman slowly opened her eyes, a hint of curiosity in her expression. Elder Saluo, what is the matter? She treated the 7 elder-level figures of the insect nest with courtesy. Insect nest master. Elder Saluo transmitted his response. I've been trapped by Luo Feng in the Dan Tower. He refuses to let me leave and demands I pay 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation, before he will release me. How did you end up provoking Luo Feng? The beautiful woman looked puzzled. An alchemist in the Dan Tower poisoned and killed 2 of my subordinates. Here is the detailed report, Elder Saluo said, sending all the information. The beautiful woman reviewed the entire set of details. I went to Dan Tower in person, intending to apprehend the alchemist Jiyu Qingyuan. Elder Saluo declared helplessly, who would have thought that Luo Feng is so domineering? He trapped me directly with his formation and demanded compensation, not even showing you any respect. The beautiful woman inquired further, his formation could trap you, and you had no means of escaping. Yes. Elder Saluo replied. The power of the formation was terrifying, completely suppressing me. I couldn't resist. If he could have broken through the formation by force, he would have done so long ago. Moreover, the formation is continuously draining my vitality, making me increasingly weak, Elder Saluo added. Insect nest master, Luo Feng is openly insulting us. Our insect nest cannot tolerate this. Why not tolerate it? The beautiful woman questioned. When facing a strong enemy, tolerance is sometimes necessary. Elder Saluo froze. Strong enemy. In the eyes of the insect nest master, Luo Feng was a strong enemy. As for the billion primordial crystals as compensation, there's no need to pay him. You are an elder with many avatars. Simply abandon the avatar that's been trapped, the beautiful woman instructed. Elder Saluo protested helplessly. I came to Dan Tower in person, prepared to forcibly seize Jiyu Qingyuan. Because of this, I carried a full set of secret treasures worth over 1 billion primordial crystals. If it were a regular avatar, he would abandon it without hesitation. The hard-to-acquire complete set of secret treasures was tailored for him, impossible to discard lightly. Then offer the compensation, the beautiful woman said. If I do, our insect nest will lose face completely. Luo Feng is trampling on the reputation of our insect nest. Elder Saluo reminded her once more. Let him trample. The beautiful woman ended the communication. She never cared about such matters. Last time, he provoked me outside my cave mansion, now he openly disregards me. Is he pushing me to confront him? The beautiful woman grew increasingly wary, knowing a simple truth. The more an enemy wishes to accomplish something, the less you should let them succeed. There's already information about me circulating in Yulon City, and Luo Feng has previously engaged with me in spiritual combat. The beautiful woman thought deeply. He knows my capabilities yet still pushes me to act. He must have some degree of confidence. Has he gained a stronger spiritual technique? Or perhaps some other unknown method? She decided the only response was patience. Time would reveal Luo Feng's true capabilities. As long as Luo Feng is powerful enough, the truth will eventually come to light, when he reveals his strengths. The beautiful woman remained calm and composed. The formation surrounding the Dan Tower complex was operating, forcibly trapping Elder Saluo and compelling him to provide compensation. The spectacle naturally stunned onlookers, and the news spread rapidly throughout the city. A Dan Tower, a faction primarily focused on alchemy, dared to provoke one of the three major looting factions, the Insect Nest. Factions capable of large-scale looting were invariably fearsome. The Insect Nest had its master and 7 elder-level figures, with numerous mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened individuals. Simply trapping Elder Sa Luo like this. The Changqing building owner expressed apprehension. "I'll handle this matter, don't worry about it," Luo Feng said. The Changqing building owner was truly uneasy. His strength was insufficient to confront the Insect Nest directly, or to act tough against them. "Let's hope Luo Feng doesn't bring disaster upon me," the Changqing building owner thought anxiously. The trapped Elder Sa Luo remained silent for a moment. Finally, he spoke, his tone noticeably softer. "Luo Feng, this time I trespassed. Please release me." The Changqing building owner was surprised, while other members of the Dan Tower were astonished. Did he really yield? "I've already said. Pay 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation, and I'll let you go," Luo Feng stated coldly, staring at him. Elder Sa Luo felt profoundly stifled. He was a potent being of the Source world, possessing multiple avatars, and didn't need to take Luo Feng's demands seriously. He yielded in hopes that Luo Feng might waive the billion primordial crystal demand. "Luo Feng, my visit to Dan Tower was for Jiyu Qingyuan, and not directed against you. Do you still insist on 1 billion primordial crystals for compensation?" Elder Sa Luo couldn't help but reply. "If it were directed against me, 1 billion primordial crystals wouldn't have sufficed," Luo Feng said, shooting a cold glare at Elder Sa Luo. Insect Nest scum needed a lesson. If they were outside the city, Elder Sa Luo would have been crushed instantly. Even though Elder Sa Luo was fierce, he had no choice but to endure the situation. Soon after, another one of Elder Sa Luo's avatars brought along 1 billion primordial crystals. "Here is 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation." He presented a bag full of primordial crystals. "You may leave." Luo Feng accepted the compensation and let him go. As Elder Sa Luo departed, he glanced at Luo Feng and remarked, "Brother Luo Feng, you have my respect." Without saying another word, he left swiftly under the watchful eyes of many onlookers. He really offered compensation. The members of the Dan Tower were in disbelief. Forcing an elder in the city to obediently provide compensation. Unthinkable. Elders generally had avatars and were often unyielding, willing to have their avatars dissipate rather than lower their heads. Unknown to the Dan Tower members, even the Insect Nest Master had chosen to tolerate this matter. Elder Sa Luo naturally sensed something was amiss, opting to suppress his emotions and not bring in reinforcements, but instead to offer compensation, concede defeat, and resolve the conflict. Senior Luo Feng, Jiyu Qingyuan, the alchemist, bowed respectfully. "Thank you for saving my life." Without Luo Feng's deterrence, Jiyu Qingyuan would have been in mortal peril. Even if he had fled the city after poisoning, the insect nest's power would have traced time and causality. Jiyu Qingyuan would have been facing overwhelming odds. The death of his sole disciple had filled Jiyu Qingyuan with killing intent at the time, compelling him to poison the two perpetrators, ready to either escape if possible or face destruction together if not. "Trust that Sa Luo will no longer target you," Luo Feng said. "You can stay safely at the Dan Tower." "Yes, Senior." Jiyu Qingyuan felt immense gratitude. "All right, everyone can disperse now," the Changqing building owner said with a smile before pulling Luo Feng aside. "Brother Luo Feng, this time you openly humiliated the insect nest." The insect nest master must have heard about it, yet Sa Luo still obediently paid compensation. The Changqing building owner spoke urgently. Clearly, it wasn't Sa Luo who chose to relent, It was the insect nest master who chose to back down. Why is that? Luo Feng seemed thoughtful and then smiled. Perhaps during our last confrontation, the insect nest master suffered significant injuries. Thus, she willingly chose to yield this time. As Luo Feng's cultivation progressed, the application of the Lai Yuan technique grew ever more terrifying, naturally amplifying his power. However, Luo Feng's strongest ability remained the combination of the undying heart and palm world during direct combat. Even the three hall masters didn't concern Luo Feng too much, let alone the insect nest master. All right, no need to worry. Whatever they scheme, I'll handle it all. Luo Feng said with a faint smile, before turning and heading to his small building. He continued focusing on cultivation. Although he hadn't intentionally pursued the life and destruction fusion, the life and death Tao was just one step away from reaching the late-stage Divine Emperor. It was merely a matter of steady accumulation. Once the life and death Tao reaches the late-stage Divine Emperor, I can venture into the dark sacred realm. I'll leave an avatar in Yulon City to repay Yuan Xiong Palace Master's kindness, but my main focus must be on exploring the dark sacred realm. Within one of the core cave mansions in Yulon City, inside the tower filled with tens of thousands of terrifyingly powerful creatures, all of Divine Emperor level. Luo Feng doesn't give the insect nest any respect, openly humiliating them, and they tolerate it. Strange, very strange. The insect nest master's domineering nature suggests she wouldn't yield unless there was a specific reason. Is she afraid? Of all things, could she truly fear? Tens of thousands of creatures looked perplexed. This tower was the Shadow Tower. No one knew what the Shadow Tower Master looked like. Among the tens of thousands within the tower, they only constituted part of the Shadow Tower Master. The rest roamed the dark sacred realm and other realms. He was a being of countless avatars. Master of Deceit Workshop, Shadow Tower Master, and Insect Nest Master, all established theft and looting factions, each notoriously formidable. Luo Feng tramples on the insect nest's reputation, and Elder Saluo obediently compensates with 1 billion primordial crystals. Elder Xingyi, his branches already blooming with flowers, stood in Yulon City, enjoying an exceptionally exalted status, as a direct disciple of a peerless being in the dark sacred realm. Even the three hall masters had to show him respect. Luo Feng, newly arrived in Yulon City, coalesced with Emperor Qing, hunting only early-stage Divine Emperor, low-level primordial life. Yet now, he can elicit fear from the insect nest master. Showing a glimmer of my master's skill. Elder Xingyi contemplated. Even Elder Xingyi rarely saw his own master. Among the illustrious figures of the dark sacred realm, none could compare to his master. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. In the most expansive cave mansion within Yulon City, Wei Yang Palace Master sat there, his gaze deep, expressionless, reading the latest intelligence. He was intimately aware of every facet of Yulon City, and well acquainted with Yuan Xiong Palace Master's worsening condition. He had already prepared himself to take on the role of City Lord. Luo Feng. Wei Yang Palace Master studied the intelligence, his brow furrowed, growing so fast. The Master of Deceit Workshop had previously suggested recruiting Luo Feng, but Wei Yang Palace Master had refrained, sensing a potent threat in Luo Feng. Insect Nest, Luo Feng behaves so tyrannically, and yet you tolerate it. Wei Yang Palace Master transmitted the question to the Insect Nest Master. He is proficient in the secret technique of spiritual will and has engaged me in spiritual combat before. I prefer not to provoke him. The Insect Nest Master replied. Just spiritual combat? Wei Yang Palace Master pressed. Yes, if I possessed a strong secret treasure capable of protecting my spiritual will, I would have no qualms about teaching him a lesson. The insect nest master responded. Wei Yang Palace Master asked no further questions. Moments later. Palace Master, what rank should Luo Feng hold in the latest Divine Emperor rankings? An underling transmitted the inquiry. Wei Yang Palace Master slightly furrowed his brows and commanded, rank him at 33rd. The latest rankings of Divine Emperors in Yulon City place Luo Feng Divine Emperor at rank 33. Although the insect nest chose to retreat when facing Luo Feng ultimately did not engage in a public battle to prove his strength. Rank 33 still reflects his reputation. All parties in Yulon City thought Luo Feng would take actions to seize more benefits in the city. Yet Luo Feng remained low-key, showing no interest in competing for profit. In the inner city, inside an ordinary cave mansion, 5 cultivators were gathered. This Luo Feng Divine Emperor managed to force Elder Sa Luo of the insect nest to compensate him with 1 billion primordial crystals. His strength must not be inferior to the insect nest master. A single compensation amounted to 1 billion primordial crystals. For a powerhouse like Luo Feng Divine Emperor, earning primordial crystals is effortless, but we have to risk our lives to earn them. Last time we went hunting, the 5 of us joined forces and barely captured prey worth over 9 million primordial crystals. We were even chased by a low-level primordial life form and narrowly escaped. The 5 cultivators lamented as they chatted. So, Brother Zhong, why did you call us together this time? As we agreed earlier, we weren't planning to hunt for the next 10,000 eras. These cultivators didn't have avatars. Every time they went hunting, they were extremely cautious, as the slightest mistake could cost them their lives. Calling everyone together isn't about hunting. It's about a joyous matter. A skinny man smiled. With his laughter, invisible waves instantaneously enveloped 2 of the cultivators present. These invisible waves were a mental invasion. The 2 affected cultivators were mid-stage Divine Emperor bloodline cultivators, whose spiritual will was inherently influenced by their bloodline. At this moment, the bizarre mental invasion caused them to experience a flood of chaotic memories, leaving them unsure of their identities. Only a few breaths later, the 2 cultivators' pained expressions turned back to normal. Ha ha, 2 new physical bodies acquired. The skinny man immediately transmitted mentally. These cultivators are far inferior to us in terms of mental techniques. We were born to transcend the braided cage. This enchanting heart secret technique is an innate secret technique. How could they compare? Among the 5 cultivators present, 2 were actually low-level primordial life forms controlling split minds. The commander says there will be an operation soon. He told us to behave for now. Doesn't matter. The commander cares about the high-level members of the race. As for us low-level ones, the commander never really pays attention to us. Even if there's a major operation, we low-level ones are useless anyway. True. The 2 low-level primordial life forms exchanged thoughts privately. The low-level primordial life form species always operated in a strict hierarchy. Those of the species with early-stage Divine Emperor strength were entirely ignored by the commander. Even those at the mid-stage Divine Emperor strength still held low status. Only those who reached late-stage Divine Emperor strength would truly garner the commander's attention. We've already killed several cultivators. The more we kill, the easier it is for us to expose flaws. Yulon City's defensive system is intricate and even monitors every cultivator. While we won't be discovered short-term, over time, we will be exposed. Then let's hurry and hunt. The more cultivators we hunt, the closer we are to a breakthrough. If we achieve a breakthrough, our bloodline will evolve. Even if we lose some avatars, we'd gain immensely. But if we lose many avatars before the bloodline evolution, then it's a loss. Continue searching for prey. Two cultivators promptly left the cave mansion and began to fly leisurely within the city. Like most cultivators, they wandered around the city, visiting various stores without revealing any abnormalities. At this moment, Luo Feng was in seclusion, cultivating. Though he had no deliberate pursuit of the late-stage divine emperor life and death Tao, his accumulation continued to deepen. Techniques like his undying blood sea body and biomimetic destruction, I had both evolved to new levels. Swish. The biomimetic destruction, on Luo Feng's brow seemed to have become far more profound than before. The intricacies within the secret treasure, eye of life and death, were rooted in the fusion of life and death. As Luo Feng delved deeper into the fundamental essence of this fusion, his understanding of the eye of life and death naturally grew richer. Such a secret technique became increasingly terrifying. Boom. Luo Feng's biomimetic destruction, I naturally penetrated the formation of his cave mansion, observing the vast Yulon city. The multicolored layers of Yulon city's defensive systems appeared intertwined with countless secret patterns in Luo Feng's vision, operating as one cohesive whole under the stewardship of the city commander. His gaze shifted to the multitude of cultivators within Yulon city. With his far-reaching observation, many weaker cultivators' physical bodies were transparent to him, allowing him glimpses of their life mysteries. With a single glance, he discerned their cultivation systems, strength, and physical body intricacies. However, the innermost souls protected by their bodies remained less visible to Luo Feng. In his observation, these protected souls looked like clusters of blurry light. My biomimetic destruction, has advanced further. I can now vaguely see cultivators' souls. Luo Feng reflected, noting that he hadn't previously been able to catch such a glimpse of those souls. Each cultivator's soul was diligently safeguarded, protected to the utmost. Luo Feng noticed two particular souls among them. Those two souls each concealed worm-like entities within. This is. Luo Feng instantly recognized them, the enchanting heartworm species. The species of low-level primordial life forms capable of infiltrating the 9 Rivers Sacred Realms city defenses were known to include 3 major types: the soul-devouring snake species, the enchanting heartworm species, and the void wanderer species. The soul-devouring snakes and enchanting heartworms were more common. The void wanderers were exceedingly rare, and had only appeared a handful of times within the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. The enchanting heartworms excel with their innate secret technique, Enchanting Heart. With this single move, those with weak spiritual will are entirely helpless, their souls directly controlled. Luo Feng recalled the intelligence on this species. An enchanting heartworm itself is akin to a mother worm, capable of spawning numerous offspring worms, reportedly up to 19. Swoosh. Luo Feng stealthily exited his cave mansion. With his biomimetic destruction, I locked onto the two cultivators controlled by the enchanting heartworms. Since discovering infiltrating low-level primordial life forms, Luo Feng naturally wouldn't let them escape. Even the elaborate defensive systems of Yulon City rely on meticulous traces to barely detect infiltrator signs, Luo Feng thought, whereas my biomimetic destruction, reveals their souls, exposing such traces. In terms of observation techniques, I must be one of the best in Yulon City. In terms of realm, Luo Feng stood among the highest levels in Yulon City. And his biomimetic destruction derived from the secret treasure, eye of life and death, indeed reached extraordinary heights. Sister Yingtang, I just acquired some fine wine. Would you like to visit my cave mansion to sample it? These two cultivators soon invited friends, including 2 female cultivators. The 2 female cultivators readily agreed. Yulon City's strict regulations ensured reasonable safety. Gatherings among middle and lower tiers of cultivators were commonplace. Luo Feng followed from a distance, slightly furrowing his brow. I originally planned to track these two cultivators to uncover more enchanting heartworm avatars. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. He couldn't stand by and let those two innocent female cultivators die. The two cultivators led the female cultivators into the cave mansion. Protected by formations, Luo Feng's biomimetic destruction, I faced obstacles in observation. Even so, he could still see the four figures within through the formation. However, the formations prevented Luo Feng from viewing their souls. Action. Without delay, Luo Feng's figure transformed into bloodlight, forcefully penetrating the formation to enter the cave mansion. The cave mansions within Yulon City were all rented out officially. These formations, apart from any additional ones set up by residents, already carried original layers connected to the entire city's defense system. The moment a formation was attacked, Yulon City's defense systems would instantly detect it. Swish. When Luo Feng breached the formation, Yulon City's defense systems naturally sensed the intrusion, with invisible waves beginning to cover the area. Inside the cave mansion. I'll gladly taste the fine wine you found. The two female cultivators laughed. I assure you'll be satisfied. The two enchanting heartworm cultivators smiled brightly. Suddenly, all four sensed a terrifying bloodlight forcefully breaching the formation without disguise. Who dares act within Yulon City? Breaking through the cave mansion's formation. The two female cultivators exclaimed in shock. This is bad. The two enchanting heartworm cultivators knew trouble was upon them. But the ferocious bloodlight swept over both of them in an instant. The newly evolved undying blood sea body, far more terrifying than the insect nest master's insect nest body, obliterated the enchanting heartworm cultivators in a split second, leaving only corpses. As bloodlight coalesced into Luo Feng's figure, he held two worm-like offspring of the enchanting heartworms in his hand. Enchanting heartworm species. The two female cultivators finally felt fear at this moment. One was an early-stage Divine Emperor enlightened, the other a mid-stage Divine Emperor bloodline cultivator. Against slightly powerful enchanting heartworms, neither had any hope of resisting. The enchanting heartworms relied only on their innate secret technique, enchanting heart. Those who could resist survived, while those who couldn't were controlled, effectively dead. Crunch. Luo Feng stared at the two enchanting heartworm spawns, instantly crushing them into dust, leaving no trace of vitality. Two agonizing mental screams rang out, but couldn't shake Luo Feng in the slightest. Having exterminated the two spawns, Luo Feng's karmic connection with the true body behind these worms significantly strengthened. Brother Luo Feng, thank you for eliminating two low-level primordial life forms that infiltrated Yulon City. A distant voice echoed, clearly from Yulon City's defense systems acknowledging Luo Feng's actions. Luo Feng didn't mind, his biomimetic destruction eye focusing intently. There they are. The biomimetic destruction eye at Luo Feng's brow spotted two clearer and heavier karmic lines among many. These lines stretched far into the distance and branched off in several directions. Swoosh. Luo Feng instantly transformed into 9 blood-light figures, each pursuing different targets along the branching karmic lines. This video will end here.